Welcome to Geeks Corner. I'm Mr. DAPs.
I'm Katie.
The red stripes on a barber's pole represent blood because they used to do minor surgeries and dental work.
The more you know.
Is that because you got a haircut?
Because I got a haircut today.
Like, that is either the most random or the most morbid.
That is the best way to subtly work in that you've gotten a haircut.
Absolutely is.
Sure.
Yes. And I'm Cameron.
I am glad to hear that, Cameron.
Use the hashtag Geeks Corner to compliment me on my haircut or talk about what we're talking about tonight.
That's a good thing to do. What are we going to talk about tonight?
I don't know. You're the one with the computer.
Well, you're wearing a Star Wars shirt, so maybe we should talk about Star Wars. Are we doing fine okay for sound, Roger? We're doing good for sound.
Yay!
Good. All right. Well, we're doing things a little bit different tonight, but we're going to start off with Star Wars. Today it was announced by Ron Howard, the new director of the previously untitled Han Solo movie, that it will be called Solo, a Star Wars story. Did I just break news for you, Jenny?
Yeah, I've been working.
You're welcome. So after 2 years of speculation on what this movie would be called since it was announced, we now know today, because of a sign that Ron Howard held, that it will be called Solo, a Star Wars story.
A solid C+ effort, everyone.
A solo story. Yeah, are they going solo? Are they going... Anyway, what do you think, Katie? Because you're shaking your head no.
I think it's dumb. And I liked the title, Untitled Han Solo Story, much better.
That would have been cool if they had left it.
I liked it better.
Would you pick, just following up on that, would you pick Untitled Han Solo movie, Han Solo, or Solo?
I would have gone with scruffy looking nerf herder.
How about the Nerf Herder?
Scruffy looking. I was going somewhere else with it. Okay, the only way it's gonna be okay, because obviously they won't do a...
It's going to be okay. That's what's going to happen.
Beginning, they won't do a... You know what I'm talking about?
Everything's okay.
Thank you.
Opening crawl.
There we go, opening crawl. Words are very hard. I'm thinking about tacos, guys. I'm so sorry.
Aren't we all?
I'm so hungry. It's only gonna be okay if like some weird foreshadowing type thing, like it says like Solo, and then it's like Solo.
Maybe they just
voice.
have Jawa do it without the words, where you just hear it and it echoes through space.
Yeah, like that's
and he laughs, and you hear the laugh too.
That's what's gonna be okay if they do that.
That brings up an interesting question: is he going to be in the movie?
Yeah,
Bless
probably.
you.
As like a baby worm.
Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt. I'm really, you know
No,
what?
they last for a very long time.
It was a
If
joke.
you watched,
I'm funny.
If you watched the cartoons, you would know that they used to have lots of them, and then they were destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, there was Java and pizza. I mean, no,
Combination.
here's my thing.
Jabba.
I'm not so worried about the name. I'm worried about content. Content is king. And I realized a big fear earlier today, which is
That's the first step.
Fear's the first step.
No, realizing.
Realizing. Thank you. Admittance of fear. No, is that I hope they don't dig too
Just
hard.
don't let
to
it
try-
turn to anger.
Shush. I hope they don't dig too hard for iconography. Like, I hope they don't do the Kessel Run. Like, I'm
Oh, we already know they are.
Oh, they're totally.
Are they doing that for sure, though?
Yeah, haven't you followed
And
Ron
you're-
Howard's?
No.
You need to follow Ron
I
Howard
try
on
to avoid
Twitter,
that.
and you would know everything that's happening in this movie. Kessel Run, Corellia, like all of it.
And there's gonna be like a weird like countdown in the corner where it's like 12, 11. It's like they can't do it. 10.
They paused the movie 15 minutes, and by the way, Chewie's about 5 minutes away, so, like, hang in there, brother.
Yeah.
Well, if Chewie's there. Like, what if Chewie's not with him yet?
Bring back.
Maybe he
Chewie's
does
family.
the Kessel Run, and that's how he saves Chewie. And then they celebrate Life Day together.
I was gonna say.
Life Day!
That just got applause.
The greatest of holidays.
That should never get applause.
That people there was.
Who has seen the
cheers.
Star Wars Christmas special? Jen, a couple of people
There
actually
was
have.
cheers of Life Day.
It's
It was enough.
B. Arthur was in it, guys. Anyway.
That's true. Protect her. Stay golden.
There's no
Holiday special.
recovering from that. That's like that's a sin that you just should never.
It's a neutrino
I
bomb.
think we just lost
That.
all of our subscribers because we cheered for Life
We
Day.
were doing so good too, but at least we still have Norm.
Yeah. And Porgans.
So do you think Norm is going to be in Solo, a Star Wars
Oh,
story?
goodness, I hope. No, there would be no reason no reason to have a pork in that.
Exactly.
If they do it, I will walk. I will call it right now. I will walk out of the theater if there's a pork.
You're
in that
gonna
film.
walk out the moment they say Solo.
That's gonna be like the 5-minute continuous single shot thing, and they're always just like, "What's your name?" Solo, Han Solo.
That's exactly what's gonna happen, and Cameron's gonna be like, gone.
No, I like the idea that like Cameron keeps trying to see the movie, and he gets to certain points, and then he walks out, and he's like, you know what, I'll try again.
Get
But
past that one.
All it takes is he's like Han, and he's like, oh, I'm safe, and it's like Han Solo. He's like, you said Solo, gotta go.
No. Here's what's gonna happen. That's gonna make it even better. What's your name? Solo, a Star Wars story.
There it is. That should have been their call sign.
I could imagine them doing this terrible thing where every time he has to introduce himself, it's just Solo. And they don't ever mention
I could
Han.
see them pulling the Newt Scamander Harry Potter thing, which is a direct mention at the end. It'd be like, what was that rogue's name? Solo. Credits. If they do that, like, I will demand my money back. I want all of my
We'll make
many
sure there's a
dollars.
camera over your shoulder as you do this, and the person just looks at you like you're crazy.
No. There would be somebody in the box office.
Sir, why would you like your money back?
They said Solo right before the credits.
You
I completely understand.
So you watched the entire movie.
Yes,
And
money, please.
That's how this works. I've seen the rules.
the general theater rules. I have like a player's handbook from Dungeons and Dragons. Just
So currently it's still supposed to come out May 25th, I believe 25th.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
no.
Do you think
No, they're not going to do that at all.
this is exactly what you said about Rogue One?
And that's
But that one's no. The May 25th with all the issues they've had.
But the thing is what takes the most time in post-production, and that's the ILM stuff. And my hunch is that was something that probably didn't change as much.
Well, Ron Howard's very specific about it. He has a lot more oversight on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would slow it down.
You think that would slow it down?
Yeah,
I think if they were going to postpone it, they would have done it already.
that's fair.
I think so too. I'm predicting on Geeks Corner, and Miss Bailey's gonna keep us to this, keep us honest. It goes on time.
Yeah, I agree.
For sake of argument, I'm going to disagree.
Well, you've been saying it's gonna be late for months, so
Yeah.
that's not even sake of argument. That's just a.
For sake of saving face, I'm going to
We
disagree.
do have to wonder if there's going to be a red Solo cup that floats through space, or is on a
Instead of
counter,
an open
or
and crawl, just
like the beginning of Star Trek Generations, except it's a cup. You don't even know. Do you? I know she doesn't. Star Trek Generations.
the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
The opening crawl is actually a bottle of champagne floating through space.
Yes, to commission the ship.
Mhm.
Yes, I do know things.
Took a while, but that's okay.
It's been a long time.
Predictions on if Solo will be on time, or will he making a solo appearance
To the
later
end
in
of
the
that.
year? How was that?
That was good. That was very good. I appreciate that.
Disgusting.
I got to haunt it to you.
Yeah.
I can't be on the show anymore. I'm so sorry, guys. It's in my contract. Too many puns in one night.
She's gonna Wookiee her way out of here.
Yep, that was it. That was Wookiee number 3, and we're going, and...
That was good.
No, it wasn't.
How do Wookiees name each other, by the way?
Oh, no.
They can't even
They
speak.
can't even say the names. How is Chewbacca Chewbacca?
How did Han Solo? Maybe this is in the movie. Is how Han Solo knew that Chewbacca's name is Chewbacca? Solo-san.
Solo-san.
San Solo.
No! I don't think that was it.
This is getting worse.
I don't... Yeah, so what else are we talking about today?
Jake the Droid. Tell us about him.
Jake Droid.
Jake the Droid. I have feelings.
Doesn't that sound like a TV show?
Sounds like I thought Jake and the Neverland Pirates first.
Jake and the Droid
I could just
in
picture one of those
Tomorrowland.
really corny 70s TV shows with Don Knotts, and it's Jake the Droid. And Don Knotts like,
What's Jake the Droid doing here?
yeah.
How was my Don Knotts, by the way?
Can you try again?
No,
That was really
I'm nope. That was a one-take wonder. That was gonna be it.
Did anybody think that sounded like Don Knotts?
It sounded like
Does anyone know who Don Knotts is?
Yes.
All right, good.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, Jake the Droid. Tell us.
Anyway, I'm scared. So there's a little droid. We've seen him twice before. We saw him at...
This is the third time, and it was a
Yeah,
charm.
we saw him at Launch Bay last year, and we saw him at D23 Expo this year. And now he's surrounded by many more people in Tomorrowland. Okay. Can I get into my feelings now?
Feelings, go.
Feelings. Feelings?
Feel away.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know if I was supposed to talk more. I honestly already.
As long as you're honest about it.
Here comes my unpopular opinion. I hate Tomorrowland so much, like with a burning passion. That land gives me anxiety because it is so poorly.
How do you really feel about it?
I'm getting into this. The traffic control is so poor in Tomorrowland because they put stupid Astro Orbiter in the front. Why? You could have left it in the back. You didn't have to bring it front. Anyway, traffic control, terrible. And then you put a robot that people want to touch and follow around. Bad idea. People kicked him. They kicked him and they punched him.
But to play Darth Vader advocate to that,
No.
they're getting a great idea of what traffic's actually going to be like for Galaxy's
That
Edge.
was what we were talking about
I actually agree with that.
on Sunday, and my concern is that there are going to be droids that don't make it out of opening weekend of Star Wars Land.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is awful. And that was my thought, was actually
But the good thing is they can go in this giant rolling ship, and then they can be sold to other people on Tatooine.
No Jawa references
No.
in this corner.
I just did.
How dare you?
Just kidding. We're going places.
That worked really well. I
But-
think it worked.
So, but I think it's a fair assumption that it's going to be that busy or more
It is.
around them.
I was like,
At least, yeah.
easily. And DAPs had the idea that I'm not even calling you Mister at this point. That he, like, the droid should be guarded by like stormtroopers or something.
That'd be fun.
Like,
Or you could have another droid or its owner walking around with it.
Or
yeah, like a
Jawas.
scavenger.
Or Jawas.
Jawas actually be pretty
If-
cool.
Yeah, you can
trying
make
to
that
sell
work.
the droid, like
Yeah.
If there was some type of protector, because there wasn't a lot that they could do, and that's no fault to Jake and that's no fault to Disney, but there was not a lot they could do to protect.
Well, I assume they're learning that now, and
Yeah.
I think they're getting much better perspective on it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's
Well,
a good,
and they
it's a
can
good gauge for
discover
Star
how
Wars fans.
strong these things really need to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So do you,
Otherwise, we could have another rocket rods on our hands. Just
yeah.
Too soon?
Adds to my Tomorrowland disgust. At me
okay.
with your Star Wars Land. Tomorrowland hate.
All
not
of
Star
that
Wars.
frustration.
No, we like love on
How cool
Geeks
is
Corner.
the autonomous droid thing, though? Like,
It's awesome.
It's amazing.
So here's the
so
thing: is it's so
cool.
cool, it's causing a problem.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, and it's a good thing to be seeing now instead of in a year and a half when the place is
Yeah.
actually opening. And
That's why I still say.
and
they're
at the
gonna
end of
have
the
to limit
day,
people going
this droid was taking a pounding, and it still made its way up the exit of Intervention
That was so
or
cool.
Launch Bay or whatever you want to call it now. That building.
It's interventions.
And the fact that it could do that, and this wasn't the first day it's been doing this. You know, it's been getting beat on for a couple weeks
I'm
now.
sure it's been worse than what
And
we saw.
it's still going, so maybe people will just learn not to hit metal objects with their hands.
Disneyland's been in existence for how long and we still haven't learned that?
in.
It could be kind of funny to watch, to be completely honest.
But
It'd be a little bit ridiculous.
I think that's going to be the funny thing to watch in Star Wars Land is that it's going to be like packed wall to wall people.
Galaxy's Edge.
It's going to be packed wall to wall people, like shoulder
Branding.
to shoulder. There's going to be a little droid,
Yo,
and it's going to be like people are going to be like, "No," like even closer, like droid, and then maybe they'll get away from the Millennium Falcon and I can ride it.
Side note: as soon as she said that, I pictured her on top of the Millennium Falcon, like the end of Apocalypse Now.
Climbing on the top of it,
Yeah.
and then security comes running up after, like, ma'am,
No, this is mine.
I own this.
it's
Look
on
at my
my
arm.
arm. Yeah.
I like how you both knew. You both knew that I would be like, no, it's right here.
Now I'm picturing you running around. Have you seen the ship?
That, or she'll like be like, no, Norm said it's mine.
I wouldn't have a porg.
You want to bet?
Porgs, plural. She only said singular. At this point, she'll have dozens.
She'll have multiple porgs.
And I'm not certainly not
Because
getting a
can we
porg
just say,
tattoo.
and Cameron showed me this meme, which is the beginning of this argument, is can we just say that porgs are the Star Wars equivalent of tribbles in Star
are.
Trek?
Well, it depends how sentient they are. Because if they're completely sentient, then they're going to be the Porg Collective. That was a very deep Star Trek cut, friends at home.
That was pretty good.
Thank you very much. I've been sitting on that for a few minutes.
I'm
Yeah.
proud of you.
Thanks.
It's good.
Yeah,
You built that one.
I did.
You should be proud of yourself.
Built this home. Built this
we
Porg
built
home.
this porg on.
An island with the Jedi.
All right. Well, Norm's bored with that, so we're gonna move on.
Who cares about Norm?
Norm has to say.
We all care about Norm. That's
No,
why he gets
you
the
do.
place of honor. You care about Norm, right, Cameron?
I care about Norm.
You guys care about Norm. That's very nice.
You guys care about Norm?
audience at home.
You can interact here. Do you care about Norm?
Yell at your
We're
screens
getting
now if you
a
care about
mediocre
Norm.
response. Some of us care about Norm. You did an article on Disney villains because it's Halloween time, and that's what we talk about this time of year. And you don't think they're so villainous.
No, not at all.
So keep going with this.
Villains are really good guys in bad camera work. That's all they are.
Whoa.
I know.
Whoa.
So this would be the certain point of view argument. Is this what we're going with?
Pretty much.
Okay,
but
so this is
with
how you
logic.
become a Sith.
Yes, pretty much. Really not so bad. You've heard of Darth Pelagius the Wise, right?
That's what I would tell you.
When
I
you
like the idea of
first,
selling Darth Pelagius almost like a salesman on TV. You've heard of Darth Pelagius the Wise.
well,
But
when
you've
I
never
first
seen him
heard you
Twilight.
say that, I thought you said Darth Pelagius the White, and I'm like, oh, is there a gray also?
Yes. No, he was the Grey, and then he came back.
okay.
We're now crossing references from Lord of the Rings to Star Wars. This is just a furtive geek night.
You can tell we're having a night.
Yes.
This is a good night. All right, so
villains.
yes.
There are a few villains, and there are a lot. I've seen tons of arguments for why bad guys aren't necessarily the bad guys. My favorites are when they actually kind of make sense, and that's what I tried to do with this. I've listed a few that I think that if,
I'm gonna pick one of them, and we're
Please.
gonna discuss. And just randomly, I'm gonna go with Scar.
Scar. It's a good
Scar
choice.
was your second choice or your fourth choice, depending on which way you numbered it. And you would like to argue that Scar isn't actually a villain; he's just misunderstood.
and he's a product of his environment. If you look at the pride construct, which has been perpetrated by Simba's father,
I have to ask one question.
Please.
Have you watched the TV shows?
yes, Lion Guard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure that we get that thrown in there because that is now part of the continuity
Yes.
of The Lion King.
Yes, Zukazama, indeed. So
They actually have some really good music
they
in the
do.
show.
It's super good. Shout out to
Watch The
Guard.
Lion Guard.
It's actually really good. I'm into it.
It surprised me.
So the problem with Scar is that he lives in an essential caste system, and his role has been
Oh,
predetermined.
I thought it was that his mane was dark and that he always looks angry.
Yeah, so you're judging him as his looks, are you?
Yes.
Is what you're doing. Shameful.
Have you seen a Disney movie?
He's covered with green smoke, and
Yeah.
every villain is lime, I believe is the
They're
word.
like, oh, everything got dark. They must be bad.
He must be a bad guy.
It's true.
It started raining. Something bad's happening.
Here's my real standard. Everyone says he's bad because he associates with hyenas.
I think he's bad because he killed his brother.
Well, yes, but I think he had every right to.
Details.
So he associates with
I'm
hyenas
glad I'm not your brother.
who are ostracized.
You took my sandwich. Now I murder you.
Long live the king. There was a turkey sandwich. No, so he goes and helps the hyenas.
Provolone.
If everyone is equal in the circle of life, why have the hyenas been banished? They can't all be evil. You're now judging an entire subspecies as a whole based on the actions of maybe a few of them. More to the point, his only campaign promise for taking over the Pride Lands to the hyenas was, I'm going to make you not starve. That doesn't seem evil to me, personally. Yeah, it didn't work out too well.
No, his campaign promise was also to kill the king.
Yes, kill the king. So that if they stick with him, they'll never go hungry
And
again.
what's
So
not wrong with that?
you're building a campaign on a coup.
Yeah, I'm against monarchy, personally.
But are you like down with murder?
If it serves a purpose.
I'm curious if
I gotta
anybody
go.
on
I
Twitter
gotta
has.
go.
Do we have any Twitter responses on this yet? You keep talking.
So they take over the Pride Lands, and everything is eaten out of house and home. Sure. But that wasn't something that was foreseeable by Scar. I'm not saying he was a good ruler. One important thing for this is I'm not saying they're good people. Not necessarily.
He's a lion. So
good lions or good beings. I'm just saying they're not necessarily the villains. I don't think he had any prediction that it was going to be so bad once the hyenas took over as a abrasive influence on the...
So you're saying
circle
he
of life.
wasn't wise.
No, he wasn't.
He was mean.
Yes.
He was murderous.
Absolutely.
He was evil,
Uh-huh.
but he's not a villain.
Not a villain.
he's the hero of his own story.
Does anybody agree with Cameron on this?
No.
I'm getting
See,
blank stares
the
from
one-
Caitlin.
The one I do agree with.
Yeah, and that's not the one I agree with most, but...
So the one I agree with most is Gaston.
That was your strongest argument.
Guess what?
But I'm not
going to
say it on the. I'm not going to say it on the show because I want people to go read your article. Sid was okay.
Sid was my favorite one to argue in this.
That's fair.
Because, and this is the most important thing with Sid, and it's true of a lot of them, but it's perspective. Sid, as well as the entire human population, has no idea that toys are sentient and can react to things. That is a hugely important note. From everything we've seen of Sid, he is a little bit underprivileged kid who is immensely creative with what he has been given, cast off secondhand toys, and he builds these amazing, admittedly, constructions with these bits and pieces of toys, and he makes new things out of them.
Like,
if they were not sentient things, he would be.
And he just wants to be a punk rocker.
Yeah, nothing's wrong with punk rock. He's into it, and he becomes a productive member of society by Toy Story 3, as we know.
does.
That is also true.
Yes.
That one I think is a decent argument. The other ones you're gonna have to go read. We look at Oogie Boogie. Syndrome was very interesting that you chose
True.
Scar and Gaston to include along with that. I think finally tonight we are going to be talking about, if I remember, well, very quickly, Thor Ragnarok, the previews in DCA. What'd you think of it really fast?
I feel like I've seen too much.
Okay.
I feel uncertain. I don't know what to think.
Okay, and are you looking forward to seeing the movie?
Not as much as other titles, no.
So it's interesting. The people that have gone to lots of Marvel movies, I'm seeing a mixed reaction to. The people who haven't gone to as many are super excited about this. So we'll see how it turns out. I don't have a prediction on this. I'm kind of on the fence, and I'm worried that it's going to be too much of the same and too much of Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Whatever. Yep.
So we'll see. I'm hoping I like it. I've seen good reviews, so time will tell. On to other things. Over in Walt Disney World, it was announced this week that dogs will be allowed in 4 of the resort hotels over there. Is this a good idea or not? What do you do with the dogs during the day? And what are your thoughts in general about this?
Let's do this.
You like dogs?
I love dogs. I think dogs are very important. The thing to know about this, and I've seen a lot of people, I love dogs. People have been saying things like, oh, well, I don't trust dogs around my kids, whatever. The dogs are still expected to be on leash, and the dogs are expected to be well behaved. And any violation of this can have the parties removed. Bring your dogs, man. Like, love your dogs. I wish my dog was going to Florida. Beside the point. She's a great dog. She's awesome. Not as good as Pat's dog, but
What do you think?
good dog.
I'm worried about the decision. I too love dogs
Yes.
and pets in general. However, I feel like we're going to be putting more people out because of it than we're going to be inviting in. Some people have some fairly severe allergies, which may not be bad if there's a couple of service animals around. But if there is a saturation of a bunch of dogs in a hotel, you may be putting people out of an option for residency. And that bothers me a little bit. People over animals, usually, is my opinion.
And allergies, but yes.
My thing with that is it's 4 or 5,
It's 4 hotels.
and there's like, how many at Disney World?
A lot.
I'm not saying they don't have options.
How many are there? 12
About 20.
or 20?
Yeah.
22.
There's
22
so many,
hotels.
and
Nearly
it's 4.
So I have arguments on both sides that you could make. One of them being is they have the kennel at Disneyland, and I see people bring their dogs to the kennel pretty much every time we're there. And if you were to ask me how many times I've seen the dog go crazy, it's very rare.
Yeah, that's true.
I think people who actually take their dogs out in public that much, generally the dogs are decently behaved.
Yeah.
The hard part for me is how do you enforce that?
Yeah.
If somebody comes from Wisconsin or something and they've driven all the way down with their dog and they're there for a week and they've that's a troublesome way, maybe they'll have a kennel nearby where it's like, your dog can't stay here,
They
send
have to
him
have
over
some kind
there.
of option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think there's some definite potentials for problems. The allergy thing I think is a reasonable thing. However, you look at what happened with the hurricane, and they were doing the dog show with Goofy and Pluto, and it seemed to work out fairly well, and everybody seemed to be having a good time. And you go to Europe, and everybody has their dogs everywhere. So maybe it's an okay thing. I don't actually have a huge problem with it as long as the dogs are well behaved.
Yeah.
So do you think it should be something that should be expanded or keep it at 4?
I think that it should be kept limited. I think there should be an option for people who don't want animals in their hotel, because I think it's just as fair for people who want to bring their dogs. There should be an option for people who don't want to have dogs in their hotel. Keep it at 4. And I don't see a reason for there to be more than 4 hotels.
Do you think there should be a size limitation on the dogs?
I don't think you should
No.
bring your Saint Bernard
No, I don't
But
think
I
there's.
love my Saint Bernard.
as it drools all over the hotel.
I think that
His name is-
perpetuates the assumption that big dogs are bad. Most big dogs are just dumb.
I wasn't actually
Nana?
thinking from a bad or good standpoint. I was thinking from a cleaning up standpoint.
Eh.
Because there are going to be runways for the dogs, and there's going to be like places for the dogs to go. I'm just curious. Like, really, if you're thinking between big dogs and little dogs, I'd rather not have the little dogs there because they're the ones that tend to yap a whole lot
Yeah.
more. And the big dogs are more just like, okay, we're at Disney World. This is nice.
Put ears on me.
Oh wait, I have ears already.
Now I have 4.
And then you put little dog boots on them. And they have little dog boots, and then they
I guess the question or the next question that comes with this, though, is you allow dogs in now. Does that mean cats are coming next? Is this opening a Pandora's box?
Pandora's pet box, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't know what this is.
I think that dogs, the same way that most people don't walk their cats on leashes outside. It's most people don't.
I can tell you I saw a picture of a cat on a leash outside this week.
Okay, so did I, but
Those are few and far between.
that.
But that's my point, is it starts with 1.
Okay,
But that's going to the inherent domestication of animals.
Mhm.
Dogs have been completely domesticated. Cats have not. They're
That's true.
domesticated-ish. The only
cats think they own you.
the only other animal that comes close
That's
to my
exactly why I think it could become
No.
a problem.
mind, the only other animal that comes
They
close
could demand to go to
is
Walt
there
Disney
are
World.
service animals that are non-dogs that they have been using with some success, like mini horses and
Mini
some
The
horses,
pigs.
mini
pigs.
horses, and
But they've been
dogs.
specifically trained for that, and that's the only reason they're the exception to the rule.
Well, and that's a completely different ballpark because that's...
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
providing a service as well,
Yeah.
but just as an example.
But I'm saying,
I do want to see a pig in Walt Disney World.
dogs and miniature horses are the 2 service approved animals in California. And how often do you see miniature horses at Disneyland? You don't.
Not often enough,
You
frankly.
don't.
I'm definitely going to be looking for them now.
Do you know they have sneakers too?
If you have seen a miniature
A
horse
service
service animal, it has to be a service animal.
How else would that
Please
happen?
tweet at us with the hashtag Geeks Corner a photo of this because I want to see this. In fact,
Especially if like they meet the Main Street Clydesdale horses.
Is it Lil
like,
Sebastian?
that would be the
that
best
would be
picture
the best
ever.
picture.
Is Lil
Especially if you
Solid
had
little special by the way.
a porg on the back of the
No,
horse.
no, why do you bring the pork?
Gotta throw it in.
Why'd you bring the pork?
Because we have about 2 more months, and then we'll get to see the porgs in
And then
action.
oops, all porks.
All porgs everywhere. But what I love about porgs is they became a thing when they saw them in action on the set. And that was when the moment of magic happened, where they're
See,
like,
like-
oh, these are awesome. We need to have more of them. And then Norm was born.
Hatched?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I just thought
Fell
of
from the sky?
Maybe.
that. That's how they come into existence.
But they bounce.
Yeah, bonk,
Boink,
bonk,
doink,
bonk.
You got me there.
That's funny.
That's
It's like
good.
that Pixar. It could be a Pixar cartoon. It could be a Pixar Star Wars crossover.
Well, if you're gonna do it,
I want
Go big
to
or go
see
home.
That.
I would watch that.
I would definitely watch that.
A little family, of
Especially
porgs.
with that little voice. Like when he screams and like you did a good job in the trailer, Norm.
Good job. Very proud of you.
We're very proud of him. You've been holding the other porg. I forgot his name's Porgins.
My
Porgins.
elbow is in his rib.
Yeah, but you've been holding him for the
He
entire.
And
has
you don't know
ribs.
if he has ribs. Yes.
We don't even know.
I'm not holding him.
You
You're
are.
using him as arm support.
I think we refer to Bailey on this, and I'm pretty sure you were.
Get away from me.
Okay. Poor Porgins. You made him cry. Look at how big his eyes just got.
No, they moved.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of moving, we are running out of time for night.
So you should go to thegeekscorner.com because we talk about a lot of stuff, mostly Star Wars it seems like, but we do talk about other stuff too. Thegeekscorner.com for all the other episodes.
Also go to dapsmagic.com, check out everything that happened this week that we couldn't fit into the show, and leave us a comment.
And while you're at Daps Magic, make sure you subscribe there. Also subscribe to this YouTube channel and find us on social media as well, because we'd love to connect with you. But that is all the time we have for tonight, so we will see you around the corner. Daps Magic, we believe it's awesome to be a geek, especially a Disney geek. So we make videos that cover just that, whether it's Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, Indiana Jones, anything like that, we might do a video about it, especially Disneyland. So if you like those kinds of videos, make sure to subscribe. We'd love to geek out with you. Also go to dapsmagic.com where you can read our coverage about all of those same things as well. But most of all, we just love to geek out with you, and we'd love to see you in the parks. Make it a great day, everybody.